This entire video is just going to be concept art, but right now, here's the poster, here's an old poster, here's a storyboard for the very old story, here's another story, here's another thing, here's a train, here's a train sequence, wait a minute, here's the villain, here's the villain redesign, you can read that, here's here's the villain, here's BELLWOOD bulb, and here's BELLWOOD bulb, and BELLWOOD bulb, and here's a poster, BELLWOOD bulb, and here's what Blakely was originally going to look like, here's what the fortune seller was originally going to look like, here's, this is from the comic book, by the way, this is an old comic book, here's the villain, here's the villain, here's what the robots used to look like, here's what another version of the robots was going to look like, here's what Blakely was going to look like also, here's what the villain used to look like, here's the book, I guess, here's another book which is old, here's another book which is old, which is new, here's a bulb, despicable, despicable me. Yeah, look at this is what BELLWOOD bulb was, here's the fortune seller concept, here, I don't even know why I took a picture of, here's the old picture of, here's the fortune seller concept art, the newest one, here's the old concept for the room, here's a fortune seller concept, I guess, here's a chase sequence concept, here's, behind the scene, noises.